Alex. We have a full house, and I want to start with I'm a happy investor for sure, but this was a journey that didn't happen overnight. Um, you're, Tell us about yourself. You're a young mathematician uh, in Russia. You want to move to the US. What do you do?
Um, it's a great pleasure for me to be part of this panel here and happy to share with all of you our journey. So indeed, I started my journey in the space of math and competitive programming. My parents are actually used to design reusable rockets for Soviet Union. So there was always a goal of to be a part of progressive scientific community. And obviously, over the last maybe 30 years, more and more focus really shifted from Soviet Union to Western Europe and to the United States. So competitive programming was a way for me to really differentiate from like hundreds of millions of other kids in the world. And I started programming when I was 9, and by the age of 19, I was top 3 in the world.
Top what? Top what in the world?
Top 3, top 3.
Top three in the world. That's the man. Uh, so top three in the world, and then you decide to start your own company because you want to move to the US.
It is actually a little bit more complicated, a little bit more complicated than that. So you can imagine that. So my father, my mother, my grandfather have all PhD degrees, multiple publications, and so on. So the goal was really to get to MIT as soon as possible. Again, in their view, MIT is the only credible institution in the world. So, but I was very, very fortunate to work on AI, neural network training, before it was hype. So in 2014, 2015, especially for problem of language translation, we achieved extraordinary results, like really state of the art. It was not pure. It was not good for production because like inference time was just too slow for production, and it was quite expensive.
Sure.
But then I really started to think what is going to be the future and of AI application in the world. I was not maybe smart enough to think about scaling laws and all of that. So really, I was just thinking that two trends are going to merge together. So first trend is obviously AI, and second is I thought that consumption is going to move to mobile phones. So I decided to build towards the future where media is going to be generated with AI. And in my previous company, we built technology to run neural networks on device, and specifically for personalized GIFs. I know now like GIFs sound like extremely boring and outdated, but trust me, 2017, 2018, it was extremely viral. Like everyone was trying Giphy, GiphyCat, and other services. And we made the technology to actually kind of generate this media from scratch.
So then you sell your company to Snap. You become head of AI at Snapchat. Then you start Higgsfield. You start Higgsfield, and last year, in late March, early April, you launch the platform. Where 15 months later, and you have exceeded $500 million in run rate. How do you go from 0 to $500 million in 15 months?
This is a good question, and I always...
It's a very good question.
Yeah, this is a good question, but I would love to just maybe a little bit roll back that, and Antoine, you remember this really well. So you were basically our first institutional investor, right? So the journey was not really smooth. The company was started in October 2023, and you can see that the journey to the first successful product launch took us roughly 18 months. So it wasn't over the night, really. We started from the problem of how do we empower social media marketers to actually leverage AI for their goal of making ads and social media posts every day. Like lifespan of social media content is literally less than a week today because trends really shift every day. It becomes obsolete. So kind of there is there is embedded like high retention and high velocity. But on the other side, it's very difficult to make technology easy to use for creative professionals. Like on average, today a good prompt is roughly 3,000 words. And we experimented a lot with form factor. We started experimentation with the space of mobile apps. We also have seen that because we were fascinated by a quick uprise of CapCut. Today, CapCut has roughly 1 billion monthly active users. It's more than Snapchat. It's more than pretty much any application in the world. But retention is really bad for mobile apps. So that was maybe the first takeaways, that building desktop native platform just leads to higher retention and in-depth usage. And second key learning for us was that in January, we actually brought the best creative talents in Central Asia to work closely with engineers to enable this feedback loop, because it's very difficult for engineers to build the product in a vacuum. And sort of many scientific methods, unfortunately, do not work really well. Because setting up proper evaluation process and labeling can take maybe from 3 to 6 weeks. And technology and like new models come out pretty much every week. That's why internal feedback loop can actually allow to shift and pivot way faster than like traditional kind of scientific product development methods. And this is probably like this symbiotic relationship between creative and engineering is probably the core reason of our fast growth.
Yeah, so I want to talk a bit more about this because few people understand that the nature of that feedback loop is so critical. But to get that feedback loop right, you have to put yourself in the shoes of your customers. And that's what you did by onboarding those creators. The other thing I want to mention is the little secret about Higgsfield is that it is a US company, but you mentioned Central Asia. You have a large presence in Kazakhstan, which tells me that you can build companies from everywhere. Don't you agree?
So it's a good question. It's true that historically there were not many VC-backed companies out of Central Asia. In the same time, like maybe some of the modern super apps are actually developed in Kazakhstan, like Kaspi, as could be an example. But we also have seen that Revolut performs really well. And I mean, like before the war, they had huge presence in post-Soviet countries. So that's why I think the talent is definitely there. And what's important is that talent is hungry. When I talk to the best research labs, both in China, in the United States, in Europe, I think everyone is working like 80, 90 hours a week. This has become the norm. It's definitely very, very challenging, but this is probably what it takes to push frontiers of technology and its adoption.
So back to being able to iterate very quickly. You've released what 400, 500 versions of the product in the last 15 months, including features and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a good question. So we understand that our internal feedback loop is definitely probably the best in the world. Probably no one else, I believe, is remotely close. But on the other hand, we are all humans, and humans also have own biases. And biases really come from professional experience, but also from like what already worked well. So it's very important to put ourselves in front of the customers and make sure that what we do kind of makes sense and has adoption. And we do not believe there is better way to learn than actually putting product releases pretty much every day. So I think on average we make 4 product releases um, every week, but definitely silent releases are being pushed every day.
So what I really like about Alex is that when he tells you we probably have the best feedback loop in the world, it's not hyperbole. He actually believes it, and knowing him, it's real. Because he's not, as you see, he's not a man of. Even though we're in marketing, we are actually selling to marketers and brands. This is not a marketing guy. It's a hardcore geek who's talking. So now tell me now, you're getting new brands every day. You're selling, 1, 2 large brands are getting onboarded on a platform every day now. This has moved from being a prosumer influencer platform, a focused platform, to being an enterprise focused platform. And this has started like 6 months ago. So walk us through that. And how do you get into these accounts?
Yeah, absolutely. So January last year, we built this feedback loop with professional creative directors who used to work on music videos, but also on commercials. And we asked them, like, what's missing? Why you are not using AI? And they said, oh, like, it's completely random. I don't know if that's going to work out or not. And we asked, like, but what specifically? Can we just distill down to 1, 2 points? And the main feedback was lack of camera control. So we were the first to address this issue, but this innovation didn't last really long. I think competition copied us in a matter of 6, 8 weeks, probably. But we knew that this is only the beginning. Most of the commercial application and like really social media started from photo shoots. Think about Instagram. Instagram started from professional photo shoots and these filters which made everyone to feel like they have a power of professional photography in their pockets. Then look at Pinterest. Pinterest is all about like taking inspirational images and build a collection of them. I look at other companies, like I think another very successful company is Midjourney, which is used for creative exploration. Like we're always like we are always focused on contents with commercial intent, so that's why photo shoots and especially product photo shoots was the main use case for us since June last year, and we trained our own model to achieve that. And then and then what's important is that in November last year, we started to see that there are new creative agencies who run whole process end to end with AI. And we started to build product for them. Those people, they don't know how to write those long prompts. And again, prompts are today are roughly 3,000 words, and they could have multiple visual references as well. So we built Cinema Studio product to address those needs. And then the adoption really accelerated, especially in B2B segments.
And so speaking of this, I think you had a report that was released last week at Lions. What's in that report? What is your view on the creator economy?
Yeah, so there are there are a couple angles to share. So first, I think on average, more brands use video AI than they don't use. So I think penetration is so high. I think today we estimate that's roughly like consumption, like roughly 4% of all consumed content on social media is either AI generated or substantially AI assisted. And look, and there is a very controversial take, which we got from actually talking to our customers, is that almost half of creative agencies, they are using AI, but most often they do not disclose it to their clients, right? So, and look, we need to be very honest, right? It's like it speaks of maturity of the technology, but the framework of like, but brands really try to catch up to build holistic framework how to use it. That's why there is like this gray area today. And I think that's why it's so important that on social media there is actual enforcement of AI labeling contents. There are multiple other initiatives to embed metadata. So hopefully this space is going to converge. And over time, we are going to see AI-generated videos in marketing and also in entertainment space to be fully legitimized.
So 15 months into hypergrowth, uh, give me two learnings, one do and one don't, of growing so fast.
I think it's I think when I talk to other founders, I think everyone faces the same issue of bots and fraudulent behavior. It comes from different shapes and forms. I I really recommend everyone who kind of crossed maybe 10 million in ARR to start investing in integrating third-party platforms for kind of user validation, also making sure you're using kind of solutions like 3DS, as this is now popular across MasterCard and Visa card holders to really validate that this is real user and not a stolen credit cards. Because like I guess one of the issues on our side is that we crossed like certain limits, I think roughly last November, when we started to see a lot of abuse on the platform. And we had to take really kind of quick measures and start taking actions against thousands of users. It's very difficult to take action quickly without mistakes. And we own those mistakes, but it's always better to kind of prevent those and start reacting earlier. So I think fraud and kind of all the wrapping behaviors when people try to run like automation, like API on top of the product is definitely a big topic which just people don't talk about. And maybe the second learning is like just always be willing to learn. Like technology still evolves so quickly. I think we are we operate at the intersection of visual understanding, which is core for marketing, but also generation. And like we're seeing that models improve so quickly. Like for example, this new Fable model completely changed the workflows. DeepSeek changed the workflows as well. I believe that new 5.6 Sol model is going to change workflows as well. And these change come out every week or every 2 weeks. It's so fascinating because you can imagine I spent roughly 11 years in video AI space, and we as I like to say, we made more progress in the last 9 months than in the previous 9 years.
My last question, Alex, is I cannot say where is Higgsfield in 3 years because that seems like 3 lifetimes. But where is Higgsfield in 12 months?
Yeah, look, I mean, our goal is to make sure that people stop thinking about AI as job replacements. It is true that the largest companies in the world, they benefit from this narrative, job replacement, GDP increase, and so on. Our goal is to make sure that pretty much every small and mid-market direct-to-consumer brands will be able to leverage Higgsfield to actually increase their revenue. So that we flip the agenda about AI. Now people think about AI as like optimizing bottom line, but our goal is to help businesses to grow top line.
Alex, thank you so much. As I said, a happy investor, but I think most more importantly, many, many happy customers into the tens of millions now. Congratulations and onwards and upwards. Thank you.
Thank you.